Yup, I'm capitalism's bitch. The Nintendo Switch 2 is the first console I've ever been able to buy myself at launch, and that's really exciting. To be able to take your hard-earned disposable income and drop it on this big new exciting thing you really want, it's an unreal feeling. Let's see how long it takes me to start bitching about it. The Switch 2 I got comes for the low price of Jesus! This was the super duper deluxe edition, so there's a lot in the box here. There's the console tablet itself, 2 Joy-Cons, Joy-Con straps, a Joy-Con grip, a HDMI cable, the AC adapter, and the new dock. But the bundle I picked up with also came with a download code for Mario Kart World, no physical edition sadly, an additional set of Joy-Cons, some Joy-Con wheels, and the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, because that's a thing. Honestly, shout out to Currys, man. Myself and 2 of my friends bought the Switch 2 through this bundle, and all 3 of us received the whole package on our doorsteps on the morning of the Switch 2's launch. The pre-order to launch timeline was a nightmare for a lot of people, so being able to secure a copy around early May was really nice, and worth a little bump in price. Busting out the console itself, the Switch 2 feels really great. The tablet itself is about 8 inches across compared to the 6.5 of the original model Switches, and they added an extra AC adapter slot to the top of the console so you can charge it while it's on the desk or in bed. Finally. Speaking of the desk, the kickstand is much nicer this time. The original Switch had a pretty flimsy kickstand that easily snapped off and was also off-center, but the Switch 2's definitely feels more solid. Not perfect, but better. The tablet itself feels great to hold and use. It's got a lot more meat on its bones, so honestly using the original Switch just feels weird and small now. The Joy-Cons snap on really nicely, so you can't mess that up even if you're a damn fool. And the joysticks on the Joy-Cons feel really good and smooth compared to the somewhat rigid sticks on the Switch 1's Joy-Cons. And hopefully they won't start drifting in 5 months. Hopefully. The Joy-Cons especially feel a lot better in tabletop mode. With the original Switch, a single Joy-Con could be a pretty uncomfortable way to play, but with the sized up controller and the bigger shoulder buttons, this feels a lot better now. The most innovative thing here is the fact that you can detach the Joy-Cons and use them as computer mice. I haven't really taken a good chunk of time out to really sink my teeth into this, but from what I've seen and what I've played, it's a decently fun way to play games like Fortnite. The screen displays at 1080p on the tablet alone, but can go up to 4K when docked, and even supports up to 120 FPS, which far exceeds my own personal expectations for what this thing would be able to manage. The colours are much more vibrant than the original Switch's screen, and while the home menu looks pretty much the same, a lot of functions are cleaned up and the eShop runs a lot better now than it ever did before. Unfortunately, the battery life isn't great with the Switch 2. While it is technically an upgrade, given the more demanding hardware in store here, the Switch 2's battery life is only about as long as the original Switch. It won't last more than about 4 to 6 hours without a charge, if even that. The big new thing advertised with the Switch 2 is the game chat feature. It's basically Discord built into your Switch 2 with voice calling, screen sharing, video chat, and group chats. The safety features are nice, and while comically low quality, the screen sharing is a great feature to have. I would have liked some kind of regular text chat function too, and a way to have permanent group chats that can persist over multiple calls. But for now, the way game chat is implemented is good enough as is. And while it won't be this way forever, it is currently free to use, which is nice as well. However, the greatest quality of life change for the Switch 2 is actually not on the Switch 2 itself at all. Anybody remember that useless Nintendo Switch Online mobile app? Well, it just got a rebrand and it is actually useful now. You can easily transfer screenshots and video captures from the Switch 2 to your phone without having to use that whack Wi-Fi system or posting to Facebook, and you can add new friends and see what your friends are up to from within the app. You can even get notifications when your friends are online, and I think that is really great. I've been wanting this kind of integration for a long time, and admittedly I stopped believing it would ever happen, so I'm happy we finally got it. The Switch 2 has a pretty light launch lineup of games, with most of the focus being on Mario Kart World. So that's not what I'm going to talk about. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is less a game and more a premium tech demo. This is an interactive guide designed to walk you through the new console's hardware, features, and capabilities. You can run around and collect stamps and play some neat mini-games like the original Super Mario Bros., but as you move, it slowly fills the screen's pixels, visualizing the difference between the original NES and the Switch 2's 4K pixels. That one's pretty cool. I don't have a 4K monitor though. I think this would have been better off as a free pack-in title that's already installed when you buy the console, but for like $5, it's fine. Nothing super special, and I wouldn't personally recommend it as anything more than a novelty, but fine. It's still better than 1-2-Switch. Mario Kart World is a fun game. Is it worth $80? I'm not sure, that's up to your own discretion, but personally I got more than $80 worth of entertainment hours out of the game and did not pay $80 for it. Alright, now I've got the obligatory price discussion out of the way, the game. Mario Kart World is a super solid time. It feels good to move and to race, the new tracks are really well designed and super pretty, the character roster is a little kooky and a little crazy, and I love it. I mean, yeah, I want to play as Fishbone, who doesn't? The art style is beautiful, I'm really loving that they're leaning more into the cartoony aspects of the Mario franchise, and the music, oh, this is basically an $80 soundtrack with the game included. The intermission sections where you drive from track to track are decently fun, but I do wish there was a greater focus on the traditional 3-lap tracks, which are pretty much exclusively relegated to versus races. Likewise, the open world mode is definitely a nice, chilled out experience to drive around in, the world has a lot to see, but I wish it had a little more to do than just hitting P-switches and collecting Peach medallions. When I was a kid, I loved just driving around Mario Kart Wii's tracks in time trials, just exploring. It's probably like the dream game if you're 8 years old and you love Mario Kart right now. The Fall Guys-esque knockout tour mode can drag on a little bit, but it's a brand new way to play Mario Kart and it really does justice to the increase of 24 players. The new items are a little basic and dear lord there are so many super horns, but I'm chuffed about the return of the Mega Mushroom. Mario Kart World is super fun and I'm definitely having a really great time on it. I'll definitely touch on this game in greater detail at a later date, but the TLDR is that I'm not convinced that it's going to surpass Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, especially considering that game is also readily available on this console and for a reduced price, and with more content. But if you're a big Mario Kart head, I do recommend picking it up and giving it a try, just maybe not for the full $80. Mario Kart World is the headliner for the Nintendo Switch 2, but it's not the only thing I picked up at launch. Along with Mario Kart and Welcome Tour, I also picked up Sonic X Shadow Generations, which runs great. And I gave the updated version of Fortnite a try, which is a massive upgrade over the original Switch version. I mean, the Switch version of Fortnite kinda sucks, but this is a really solid way to play. I also gave the Switch 2 upgrade to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a little try. This isn't a crazy upgrade, basically just better load times, increased resolution, and improved frame rate, but those small things do add on to make an already great game even greater. I got this for free through Nintendo Switch Online, but on its own it retails for about $8, which... A lot of Switch games got free updates to improve some small things for the Switch 2, which is great, but then you have the paid upgrades for the 2 mainline Zeldas, which I'm just not so sure on. Oh, and Mario Party Jamboree. We'll come back to you. But first, Nintendo GameCube Online. With a rebrand to Nintendo Classics, we finally got emulated GameCube games on the Switch 2 exclusively. I have to say, the launch lineup has some good games, but it's really nothing to write home about. Soul Calibur 2 with the GameCube exclusive Zelda stuff is definitely an interesting pull, and F-Zero, Wind Waker, and Super Mario Strikers are definitely solid games, but I was definitely hoping for some of the heavy hitters like Mario Kart Double Dash or Smash Melee. With the unspecified future edition of Super Mario Sunshine, that officially makes 2/3 of Super Mario 3D All-Stars redundant, which is pretty funny. Why do I own this game? I was never the greatest user of Nintendo Classics series of offerings. It's something I really need to dip my toes into more considering the vast offerings available now. But GameCube is certainly the most exciting console edition yet. Being able to play with your friends online is a huge plus too. I don't see people talking about that very often. Heading into July, the big release this month was Donkey Kong Bonanza. I wasn't immediately sold on this game when it was first revealed at the end of the Switch 2 Direct. I mean, it looked pretty good, but then it was reported that it was being developed by the same people behind Super Mario Odyssey, so I decided to put my faith into it. And, well, it's a good game. It's got these big worlds and collectibles I loved in Odyssey, but with the addition of an almost entirely destructible environment. And honestly, I'm a little shocked more games don't utilize that idea. I don't think it would work for a theoretical Super Mario Odyssey 2, so using DK here was definitely the right move. Speaking of DK, I'm a big fan of his redesign in this game and Mario Kart World. Bonanza is definitely a good way to show off the increased power of the Switch 2. I mean, if you tried to run this thing on the original Switch hardware from 2017, your console would start doubling as an air fryer. However, because this game is developed by the same people behind Super Mario Odyssey, that means everybody agrees it's good now, but will suddenly say it was bad all along in about 3 years. Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV released this month. I didn't buy it. Firstly, woof, what a name. Secondly, okay, I get the idea of adding more minigames to support the Switch 2's unique features, especially over making a whole new game. But like, this game isn't even 1 year old. Why not just wait to release it, or add the minigames in a free update? Paying for a few extra minigames just doesn't seem worth it to me, especially for a game that's already got a decent amount of minigame content. I also picked up the Balatro Special Edition in July. This game isn't new or specific to the Switch 2, but I wanted to mention it because now it's a tax write-off. Also, this game is really fun and it looks super sharp and nice on the Switch 2's screen. The first 2 months of the Switch 2 have been pretty light for first-party releases, but let's be real, that's been the way for most consoles since, like, the 6th generation. There is a lot to look forward to though throughout the launch year and beyond, with some heavy hitters too, like Metroid Prime 4, Elden Ring, Drag X Drive I Won't Be Buying You, Kirby Air Riders, Borderlands 4, Hades 2, A New Hyrule Warriors, Splatoon Raiders, Tomodachi Life, and Hollow Knight Silksong might escape containment and stumble its way into release sometime in the next 5 years. Nintendo Switch 2 is awesome because we can finally leave the Nintendo consoles are underpowered and therefore suck debate behind us. I mean, this thing is a powerhouse and you can take it on the go. That's a good deal. The issue with this console obviously lies in the pricing. The Switch 2 and its games are simply not affordable to a lot of people, and that absolutely sucks. I don't think it's a Nintendo exclusive problem, rather a gaming industry-wide issue, and some of the blatant misinformation going around, people claiming the games cost $90 and that you don't even own them at that, is a little unnecessary. But while I was lucky enough to afford a Switch 2 on launch, a lot of people aren't, and that absolutely sucks. There's really no reality in which Mario Kart World is an $80 game, and don't let anybody tell you that it is, because it's not, and I wouldn't tell anybody to purchase it at that price. And yes, I know $70 games have been the norm for some time now, it's still kinda wild, especially for countries like Brazil, where the Switch 2 can cost multiple months of minimum wage paychecks just to buy it. That's not fair. But also, just don't shame people for choosing to spend their hard-earned money on this. That's not cool, and you're not cooler or better than anyone for doing that. However, on a device level, the Switch 2 is really good, and that is my main takeaway at the end of the day. The library is maybe the strongest out of any console out right now, the new games coming out are looking really great, and the future is looking really bright. I may not be able to afford it, but damn it is it gonna be bright. Now to answer what I'm sure you're wondering by now, no, you don't need to play the last 40 years of Nintendo consoles to enjoy the Switch 2, but it helps to understand when they reference this Mario bloke.